Like, we're sitting here, guys, just to give you a scene. We are sitting at a really grody, found it in the barn card table that's rickety and wobbly. And we're sitting on chairs we found in the barn that are all stained and under an umbrella that looks like it belonged to the 70s.
Magnum PI probably used this.
And we used to have a beautiful wrought iron table and chairs with a beautiful Sunbrella red umbrella. And we got rid of so many things along the last 5 years of moves. And you know, I could be sitting here saying, dang it, that would have looked so cute at this house.
Why didn't we save it and get a 30 by 10 garage?
Why didn't we move it 4 times so we could have it now? But if I hadn't kept it, I would not have gotten that excited spring in my heart of seeing God provide this Magnum PI umbrella and table and chairs for us, which we've had just as many good times around it as we moved into this house as we had over the beautiful one. Maybe even more, because I'm not worried about hot dog sauce getting all over the place.
Welcome back to the Lady Grey podcast. Oh, wait a second. Welcome to our back porch. We are 2 authors and artists happily married for over 20 years, parenting 2 boys and sharing glimpses of our lives with you. Lean in and listen to our unedited conversations as we share on art, parenting, politics, culture, and how our Christian faith colors it all. I'm Dale Fincher, and this is Jonalyn Fincher.
Hello.
And this is our back porch conversation. Today's conversation is about why we believe boat life was worth it.
Such a good topic.
I know, and those have been following along and would like to go back to season 2. You can see all of our episodes and reflections on what it was like while we were living on the boat.
We have episodes that we actually recorded while we were sailing, and we had to like pause it because we had a marlin on the line, and then we had to come back and then we had to do a sail change. So you can get the action-packed, very like scattery experience of sailing with us.
And we sailed from South Africa all the way to Virginia, and it took us a year to do that, and we covered 8,000 nautical miles, and it was a splendid time. But now we have been off of the boat for a month, a little over a month now. We're reacquainting ourselves with land and what land life is like, and settling into a new home. So I want to talk about different things about what this transition's been like, the things that we miss about boat life, why it was worth it for us, friends that we made, and what life is like for us now.
Yeah, it's a great setting for it too. We're sitting on our little back porch, literally next to this very busy road where we live now, and you can hear the sounds of land around us.
Yeah.
The traffic, the birds, and it almost feels like it was a dream that we were on a boat for a year, just bobbing and sailing and seasick, and it sometimes feels like it didn't even happen.
It does feel like a dream. I've thought about that where, you know, when you spend half a century on land and then you spend a year on the water is the novelty. The land is the standard, the normal.
That's right.
So moving back to land was like, I'm moving back to the normal thing. And still, this parenthetical of a year at sea, it feels like it was a dream. It's still like this anomaly, this unusual thing that we did. Even though every single day you're doing it, for me, it just can't shake the land. I couldn't shake the dust off.
Well, I love that you pointed out in the last episode where we really spent time reflecting on why we're getting off of the boat.
Yeah.
That was our most listened to episode by far. We closed our season 2 with that episode. And you made the remark that we are created to be land dwellers. We're made for the earth.
I tell it to everybody now. Because everybody wants to know what's sailing like. And it's like, I'd like you to know we're created to live on land. And you notice that you're so deeply dependent on it when you're on the sea, because you're always thinking, where's the land? Where's the land? Where do I land? Where's the food?
And now we're here. We're on the land. We're standing firm, and we don't feel seasick. And
I sleep through the night.
Oh, that's wonderful. For me, I look back and I think it was worth it because I have a much more confidence in what I can handle. So when I feel like my cup is filled up and I'm going to start melting down. I feel like there's too many things I'm managing, or too many things that are making me feel uncomfortable or nervous. I know I can stack 3 or 4 more on top of that and still stay calm, because I did this. I did this sailing experience, and it was really nutty and difficult.
Yeah.
And I faced more fears. My startle response has gotten so much less.
Oh, I haven't noticed that, but you're right now that you pointed out. Jonalyn has this remarkable startle response. Had, past tense, apparently. That,
It is.
that didn't matter what she saw. Is this what you're talking about? Didn't matter what she saw, whether it be a cute puppy or a squirrel getting hit on the road. It was always like, oh! And all the rest of us are like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Because we always think the squirrel's about to get hit. And it's like, oh, it was a beautiful butterfly on the flower. I'm like, you can't respond like that. We're all like jumping to help out.
Well, I wasn't thinking of that specifically, but that is part of this. I was thinking specifically of how I don't jump in my heart. I don't feel like that surge of adrenaline when something crashes or falls, or when I hear a really loud sound. Mm-hmm. I used to be startled and flooded with that anxiety and adrenaline. But I heard that so many times, the cat slap of the waves on the boat, and hearing things tumbling and falling over, and that became a little bit more normal on a boat, so that now when things fall, I still am like, okay, what just fell? I heard a big bang, but I'm not like, what's that?
Yeah.
And that's that startle response.
Because nothing falling in the house, very few things could even possibly fall in the house that could spell disaster the way some of those sounds you hear on a boat. Because sometimes when the wave would slap the boat, you're like, is the boat sinking? Like, are we literally have to get rescued right now? I'm like, no, it's just a little slap. But here, if a pan falls off into the sink or something, it's like, the house isn't sinking. It's not an earthquake.
That's right. Land life feels much more stable than it ever did before, because I have this incredibly unstable experience.
We appreciate it.
To.
I mean, even prayers over dinner, I'm always thankful. We have food from a local grocer.
And the food tastes so good on land because we're getting it super fresh. We're not kind of hoarding it in the fridge or the freezer to bring it out when we're needing it.
I'm thankful that the floor is not moving.
Yes.
And I'm thankful that there is a roof over our head and we can walk. So even though it's a small house, I could just walk in lovely circles all around the house for days.
I know.
And never
nice.
And never be outside.
Yes.
And never be in the rain.
Sheltered.
Never in the elements.
You could walk so far from the living room into the kitchen, and then into your office, and then into the barn, and we're inside the whole time. And I could come outside, and when I did Pilates, I was like, this is so easy, because the boat isn't moving while I'm trying to do my...
It's like the extra core workout when you do Pilates on a boat.
It's so true.
I know.
It's also given me a completely new perspective on the stuff we had in storage.
Yeah. And I mean, to our credit, because we have been preparing for this and moved several times, preparing for moving onto the boat, we whittled down what we started as in Colorado down to about, I think we got rid of like 70%, 75% of everything.
We did. And how big was our storage garage where we had all our...
It was only 10 by 10.
So we had everything in a 10 by 10, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, why do we have all this
still
stuff?
have too much stuff now that we've come back from living on the boat.
I want to give a tangible example.
Yeah.
On the boat, I had one spoon. It was a double-ended spoon. One side was 1 tablespoon and the other side was 1 teaspoon. And I used that for all the cooking and baking I did for the last year.
And it's a red plastic spoon.
It's red plastic,
not decorative.
super cheap.
Yeah.
I have in storage a whole set of teaspoons, half teaspoons, quarter teaspoons, all that.
And they're beautiful. They're stylized. Look like, Mole would have them at Mole's End in The Wind in the Willows.
Yeah, they're beautiful, like pewter. And then I have another set, in case those are in the dishwasher.
Of course, yeah.
And these are magnetic, and they all, stick together.
And of course, they're the magnetic ones.
Very nice.
Very practical.
And they have different sizes for different shaped containers to put them in. And I saw them when I was unpacking the kitchen, and I put them all back in a box because our kitchen is quite small here in this house. It's actually, we've been joking, I have less counter space in this house than I did on Lady Grey.
It's wild.
And It is wild. And I don't want those teaspoons and tablespoons because to
they're in the
me,
way.
it's not necessary to measure precisely a half or a quarter teaspoon. I just eyeball it. It's fine.
I love that simplicity, and it's a great
Yes.
example of pulling things
It
out
is.
of storage. And the things we put in storage are things that have value, like actual value, as well as things that are valuable to us. But all of those things, most of those things, I'd say still half of those things lost their value to us
Yeah.
after being gone for a year.
Yeah.
And realizing that you can travel and move and live on so little. Now, we're both huge fans of beautifying a space.
Yes, we are.
I'm a huge fan of finding the right tool for things, and it's okay to spend a little extra money on that one tool rather than spending a little bit of money on like 25 Walmart appliances. I'd rather just get that one appliance from a Swiss-made company that does it just right. So
Yeah, I know that.
I love that kind of, I love the simplicity in that way. But sometimes you just don't land on what that thing is that you need till you buy all 25. So I feel like we've lived enough life, and Sailing Life has provided us a broad experience of how little you need.
Clothes, makeup,
I know, my closet is so full of clothes.
food.
I don't even wear them. I'm not going to wear them.
I've unpacked all my clothes, and I can't believe how few clothes I have.
But you got rid of a lot too, didn't you?
I
After you
did
unpacked it?
before we
Yeah.
left, and that's the
Okay.
one thing I think I really sifted through my clothes very, very well.
Yeah, you still have more than me.
I do. I have the whole hope chest full
But
of
I feel
wool
like my
sweaters.
clothes, I have too many clothes. I think I have twice as many clothes as I need. Some things are like, why do I need a dinner jacket? Because I know
I know it.
in one of these days I'm going to need a dinner jacket.
know,
I'm
you
going to be
do.
like,
You gotta have
what?
just one.
Because Sailing Life is,
But you don't need 20. You don't even need 10.
no, I have 3. But it's like Sailing Life is, t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops all day, every
Yeah.
day. But on land, there's larger demands just for the protocols of meetings and gatherings and,
There is.
and doing things socially. So that part is more complicated for sure on land, and you have to abide by it.
The other thing that I've noticed really made Sailing Life worthwhile for that year is I experienced so much solo loneliness without friends other than my family that I felt like social was really important for me to be on, to continue to share my gifts and my ideas. And I decided to take a break from that when we came to land, and I haven't been posting on social since we've moved into our house here. And I haven't missed it. I have not missed the social interaction because there are so many friends I want to keep up with, and I do keep up with one-on-one. So the social stuff for me on Instagram and Facebook taken a real backseat, and I don't know if I'm going to go back onto it, but it's that simplicity. I actually can not just survive, I can thrive with so much less. I have that belief deep-seated now after a year of experiencing it, so that I can trust myself that I'm going to be okay, my art business is going to be okay, and my family's going to be okay if I don't post on social.
Yeah. It's a good peace, good sense of peace. That the world doesn't have to be involved in your life.
Yep, that's right.
I like that I don't, on the boat, okay, so there's this phrase we shared with our French friends shared with us, whatever it was, we all had the conversation of wanting to bring Sailing Life back to land and those parts that we value. And this is part of what that is. And one thing I'm glad I'm not bringing back to land, but I feel like I had it before Sailing Life, and I had during Sailing Life, but now I don't want it anymore.
Oh, what is it? I'm very curious.
This is practical. It's actually not that interesting.
I
but
bet it is interesting.
It's having spares.
Oh my gosh.
And I think
That's
in
very
life,
true.
so right now we're
Spares.
cleaning out this garage in the house that we bought, and the people who lived in this house lived in it for 8 decades. So, and they did a great job clearing it out when they sold it, but they left a lot behind, and a lot of it are things that are useful, and a lot of it is in the workshop. So I'm finding buckets and buckets and buckets of organized nails, and they are organized. I mean, nails that I didn't even know had names. All different styles of nails I didn't know existed, and everything is all there, but I can't do anything with them, but they're of value to somebody, so we put them down at the curb. But I think there's this mentality as you go through life of like, I might need this someday. I might need this someday. Or, you know what? I bought a replacement for that appliance, that tool, whatever, but the old one's not completely dead. So I'm gonna hold on to that just in case. Now on a boat, you do need to have just in case spares because you get stranded. If you get stranded, you have nobody to rely on. But on land, you have incredible amount of resources around you. So that just in case is something that I feel like I'm leaving behind, and that helps me simplify things as well.
Just in case living. I felt the exact same way about food. I said to you, remember, when we get on land, I don't want to be shopping and storing groceries and food as if we're about to do an Atlantic crossing.
Yes, no more like long-term provisioning like we're preppers trying to survive.
Yeah, to truly trust that 1 week's worth of food is going to be enough. And of course, I have my pantry of like a little bit more rice and a little bit more potatoes or canned goods, but there's a saying that you pack your fears, and I definitely see that in how I prepared for Lady Gray. When I've come back to land, my memory isn't as strong and sharp as it used to be in my 30s and early 40s. And
I hear you, sister.
That's hard. And
it is hard.
Accepting that limitation is, one, I make labels now for like what's in this cupboard because I can't even see in the back anymore.
Finally, I know what the things are.
It's gonna be varied. I used to have almost a photographic memory of like every can. Oh, the tomatoes are here. Go in 3 deep and then to the right, and then you're gonna find the fire roasted tomatoes with garlic. I can't remember that anymore. And I don't want to buy in bulk, even if it saves money, because I will lose it in the bowels of my cupboards. And I don't want to have excess, because that puts added pressure on me to use what I've invested in, rather than, it's almost it's an efficiency and a rushing sort of toxic combination. And the boat also helped me in that area. The efficiency side of things was so destroyed. You could not move efficiently in a boat. Everything takes so long. So that now, last night, for example, we were watching Nacho Libre with our boys. And I got out some Murphy oil soap, and I was scrubbing the wooden chairs that were left here in this house. And they had decades of just built up dirt on them. And I spent about an hour cleaning 3 chairs. And it was not, I'm sure there was faster ways to do it. And it would be a lot easier to put those chairs out at the curb and just get some brand new IKEA chairs. But there is something very satisfying about taking something old and seeing its lovely bones and trying to find a way to give it another life. And choosing to be intentional about letting go of the things you know you'll never do. You'll never really cook like that or decorate like that or wear that.
So true.
Like, we just put that beautiful Singer sewing machine we found in the attic. You were bold enough to say, we're never going to refurbish this. We don't want this to be a decorative piece in our house. We don't have room for it. And you wheeled it out to the curb. And I just watched a guy pick it up, and he turned it sideways, and he wasn't taking care of it, and the little pieces fell off into the street. And I was just like gritting my teeth because I'm like, you don't deserve this. We're giving it to someone who's not even valuing it. And he just picked it up for free. And we know it's worth $100.
Oh, at least.
And
it's not worth my time trying to market that and get it all clean and make pictures and meet people from Facebook and all that.
But it's the ability to let it go. That's
huge.
something from sailing, I think.
Yeah,
letting go what
huge.
we expected sailing to be for us. Letting go of all the places we wanted to explore because the weather was bad and we couldn't get there. Letting go of the hopes that we were stronger or more hardy or better at fixing things or whatever. That just didn't match up with reality. I feel more of a realist because of sailing.
Yeah, like working with reality rather than always worried about manipulating it.
Yes.
And I think, we've had, emergency food.
Yeah.
It takes up a big corner of your space to have that sitting there, and you're always looking at it going, if we're ever in an emergency, we'll have this food. That's good. But this food is gross. That's bad. Maybe in the emergency, this food will make me sadder than if I was just wandering like a homeless man. And like, I know those dehydrated eggs are not going to be all that great. I know they're not. But I think now, and I think age has to do with it, sailing a little bit to do with it. You see how the rest of the world lives. And at some point, you just have to trust that God's your guardian and your gardener and not fret about it. It's easy to fret about it. It's easy to say, I am autonomous. But the honest thing is that I'm not autonomous. I mean, if all hell breaks loose in society, I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm probably going to get picked off pretty early. I'm not going to be the leader guy who shows everybody how to, whittle a tank from an ash tree. or how to, extract medicine from, this moss, peat moss.
In other words, we would not make it on the show alone.
I'm definitely not. I would be so sad, but I'm just looking at it going, I'm not going to be that guy, and I'll never be that guy, like you were just saying. Well, I'm never going to accomplish this. I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to be that guy.
Well,
I cannot
you're more
worry
respectful
about that.
of the reality of Dale Fincher.
Of who I am.
And I'm more respectful.
And the world around me. I do have a grocery store down the street.
Yes.
And if I'm fretting myself over all these things, and I mean, if I had to put my finger to the wind and see the how the times are a-changing, and you do have to use some wisdom and kind of apply and navigate, just like an investor does every single day. You got to navigate whatever the market is doing. But here, it's like, I have a grocery store here, 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 and here. Why am I fretting about having a month's supply of food in the freezer? Unless I'm doing Costco and I just got this awesome deal on ribeye, there's just not a big reason for it. So I need to set that aside and have some peace. And I see how the rest of the world lives when we're sailing places. It'd be like, some of these people have just the scrappiest little grocery stores and they're getting by fine. And if we have to plant a garden to supplement, we could do that if we need to, but I'm not going to fret about it anymore.
Yes, I think that's exactly how I feel about observing these other cultures, these people on these islands and other countries, and they are living with so much more peace than we have here in America, and they do not have the luxuries that we have.
No.
And they are building a culture that God sees them and loves them. God is providing for them. He's meeting their needs, and we have needs now too, because we've given away so many things. Like, we're sitting here, guys, just to give you a scene. We are sitting at a really grody, found it in the barn, card table that's rickety and wobbly. And we're sitting on chairs we found in the barn that are all stained and under an umbrella that looks like it belonged to the 70s.
Magnum PI probably used this.
And we used to have a beautiful wrought iron table and chairs with a beautiful Sunbrella red umbrella. And we got rid of so many things along the last 5 years of moves. And I could be sitting here saying, dang it, that would have looked so cute at this house.
Why didn't we save it and get a 30 by 10 garage?
Why didn't we move it 4 times so we could have it now? But if I hadn't kept it, I would not have gotten that excited spring in my heart of seeing God provide this Magnum PI umbrella and table and chairs for us, which we've had just as many good times around it as we moved into this house as we had over the beautiful one. Maybe even more, because I'm not worried about hot dog sauce getting all over the place. And this is actually, this is something that's changed for me, is that I want to live as unhindered and unedited as possible for the last 40, 50 years of my life. I don't want to be worried about the mess I'm going to make. I want to be able to enjoy my sons and my husband and say, God, these are the needs we have. We need friends. We need some mattresses. We need some beds. We need a table. We need a couch. This house has been so quirky, and we've had to adapt so much. We bought a couch on Marketplace this week, and we couldn't even get it through the doors because the doors in this house are so small.
We didn't even measure. I couldn't even believe it. I mean, I didn't measure it because I'm like, of course a couch could get in the door. We tried everything.
But we've been living on, watching movies on our laptop just like the boat, and no one has been having meltdowns. We're finding we can be at peace in the lack of things.
It's like if you had, it's like the Haggadah in the Passover. It says
exactly.
It says if you had, brought the 10 plagues on Egypt but had not parted the Red Sea, we should have been content. But if you did part the Red Sea and not lead us to Sinai to receive the law, we should have been content. Look at all the great things God did. But you did bring us to Sinai. If you brought us there but didn't give us the 10 commandments, we should have been content. But if you did give us the 10, but you did do that, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing, it just is a beautiful exercise in piling on all of God's gifts one after the other. Gifts that often you don't even know what to ask for, but once you have them and pay attention to them, you realize that they were much larger than the thing that you were desiring and wishing. And I feel that way about the stuff around us,
I do too.
It's like, if you gave us a TV screen that's only the size of my 13-inch laptop, you should have been content, because he gave me a laptop.
Yes.
And he actually allowed technology to create digital movies so I can watch them on it. Well, what am I complaining about? Everything else is, this itself is gravy, and everything else is even gravier. So lovely, but you have to pause and walk through it.
You do have to pause. We've had some arguments and discussions about if we're going to stay here, if we're going to move, get a better house. This house has been a little bit disappointing. And I noticed that even how you and I discuss and argue, there's so much more teamwork in the middle of it.
Yeah. Even though we have a lot of disagreement about it.
Yeah, and we haven't even figured that out yet. But
and
it doesn't.
Sadly, part of the disagreement is related to the uncertainty.
Yep. Which we lived with uncertainty on the boat for a year. I feel like
Totally.
we have skills at living with uncertainty.
Absolutely.
And
it's not a deal breaker. It's not that's it. I'm walking out.
No, not at all.
But I think that this adjustment requires everybody to come to the table a little more soberly, to say, we've been. And this is one of those things I've reflected on the last month. I didn't share on Instagram because it didn't come clear to me, but I've thought about it for the last 3 weeks or so, and it doesn't leave me at all. About why I think some of the sailing journey was a little bit shorter, and why I think we want to be so conscientious and cautious going forward, is that I was expecting, or I was hoping, or my desire as we were planning sailing, is that our sailing journey would begin sooner. But because of the way COVID hit, hard to get boats. You had to order a boat. They cost the same as used boats, and everything else. And then you finally get a boat, and that's great. But during that time, we're moving from one place to a rental, to buying a place because you couldn't find a rental, to fixing it up a bit, to selling it again, to move to the boat. But you had to go to another rental, and then people's houses. You finally get to South Africa and more rentals, and you're on the boat. Oh, finally, we have a home, and we thought maybe it'd be longer term. But it's a year was fantastic. But the sailing journey for me, it wasn't just about sailing journey. It was about a nomadic journey. From once we left Colorado in 2020, in the middle of COVID hitting, all the way till we arrived here, this time in New Hampshire, it has been a nomad mentality of 5 years. And I think if I had started sailing in 2020, it might have been a 2 or 3 year sailing experience. It might have been, just from this perspective, just from the nomadic experience. I think I could have handled a 3 year nomadic experience. Just great. But 5 years, I realized this, after being on the boat for a whole year, I wasn't saying I need to get off the boat. A year on the boat is enough. That's not what I was saying in my mind. What I was saying in my mind is, I need to be planted in a community. And the boat is inconsequential. It could have been a van. It could have been hiking the Alps for 5 years. It could have been being a jet setter on the fanciest airplane known to man. It could have been stuck in the International Space Station. Whatever it is, the mode of transportation and the mode of movement is inconsequential. It's the idea that I'm in this place, and I have, into the foreseeable future, I am not leaving it. But from 2020 to 2025, it was always, especially when you're traveling by boat, in the foreseeable future, I am leaving this. We were living down in southern New Hampshire. We knew living there, the rental will be up. We knew the house would be sold. We knew, and we're always watching the deadline. Right now, there's no deadline, and we haven't had that. We have not experienced that until we decided to put our house on the market in Colorado, which was 2018. So we honestly have not thought about there's a deadline for the first time until now, for the first time.
That's 7 years.
7 years. 5 of it nomadic, but 7 years of
And as we pointed
the
out, that's the majority of our 9-year-old's life.
Yep.
And that's part of the issue we keep coming back to, is how do we build a stable home in a community for our sons?
That's right. It's not enough just to be a family together, which is great. But being a family together, one place that's going to be here indefinitely and surrounded by a community of people, that's the extra that has always bound families and the earth together, planted in a place, a time and place, and that has made for good people. We need that.
We do.
I mean, humans need it, but I know I definitely do. So when it was time to sell the boat, it was like, it wasn't get the boat away from me. In my heart,
no.
It was show me home. I want home. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I'm not a nomad. I'm not built for nomadity. I want home.
And that's really what made the last 4 months endurable, is that we had friends who were with us in the nomadic life, who helped us remember that there was this community that
They made it feel. They gave us taste of home when we were there. We were with them. It changed everything for us. And what was great is that they were all French, which I always was told from others that French sailboats are unkind and are not concerned with others. They don't care about your personal space. They'll let their boats swing on anchor and hit yours. I mean, I've heard some of these stories, like, watch out for the boats that have the French flag on it, because you just don't know what you're going to get over there.
Or they're going to be, bathing nude.
We did see some of that. But
not from our friends, but from other
not from our
friends.
friends. That's so funny seeing my friend nude on the deck of the boat. Are we going to do
very awkward to have dinner
wine
afterwards.
night tonight? But we were thrown together, and I think we mentioned it in a previous podcast, thrown together with some French people just because it was a storm, and we all timed it right, going from the Dominican Republic up to the Ragged Islands of the Bahamas. And we all ended up being thrown together for the storm.
Yeah, it was lightning too. It was very, very, troubling when you're on passage together. So you kind of reach out on the radio and kind of
watching them on the radar.
Are they okay? How is their sail plan going?
But we were like, I didn't even know who these people were. I didn't even know they were French. It wasn't until we arrived in the Bahamas and this big storm was coming, and everybody knew this is the only safe little cove, and we're going to be here for 5 days because that's what the storm is.
Yeah.
And then the community was born. And there's a little beach there, and they were like, let's go to the beach, or they'd come in their little dinghy or in their little inflatable kayak.
Gabrielle and Alice
and
came
come over and say hello.
They paddled over, and in their French accent said, we are wondering if you have children who would like to play with us. And I was just so bold of them, not as an English speaker, to just come to our boat and invite our children to play with them, and I was so impressed. And then I invited all the women over to Lady Grey, and we had morning tea together, and we just kind of shared. And my goodness, the women of the community of these boats, there's so much in common, what it's like to be a woman on board a boat.
They were thoughtful, beautiful. They cared about beauty. They cared about having a good family. All the families were intact families, meaning like it was their actual parents that were with them. They all had, multiple kids, and everybody was getting along. But it wasn't just, it's so nice to find other boats with kids. It was, these are substantial families. And the thing they all had in common was that they were only doing it for a year or two. And they just had a very brief window of time because they had their own communities that they were going back to. They didn't want to be nomads. This is just an experience, a traveling experience.
Which is funny because one of their boats' names was Nomad.
It's funny, come to think of it.
But, they were all from France, and except for one who was from Switzerland.
The French side.
They spoke French, yes. And they had something very refreshing to me about their culture. I don't think codependency is as rampant in France as it is in America, at least not in the same ways. And some of our best conversations would be at restaurants where all the adults, all 8 of us would be talking, and then the kids would be at another table. And while we're talking, they're all speaking English, even though some of them are better at it than others, so that we could be included, you and I. And they're talking about, like, why is it in America that you always are saying, oh, it's just so amazing. Everything is so awesome. It's amazing that we did this. It's just amazing. And Dale and I were laughing so hard because they nailed American culture to a T. Over the top enthusiasm.
Everything has exclamation points when Americans are talking.
And it started to be a running joke in our online, WhatsApp group thread that we would say, it was just so amazing, all caps. Because in America, there is an anxiety about not being enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And one of the men who's done a lot of business with Americans has noticed how in America you never know where you stand because everyone's so friendly. You don't realize they're working against you while they're being friendly. And he's like, I could never understand that until you put it into words, Jonalyn. And then they were able to put into words things about French culture that I had never understood. Why is there this mythology about the French women always aging so well? What is it about the French and food?
And romance.
Yes! Woohoo!
That loud car was a sedan, just so everybody knows. It wasn't anything fancy.
It didn't look like it should be making that sound naturally.
Poor guy wants attention. Well, we gave it to
you.
We
gave him lots
All right,
of
attention over. Please return to the French.
So I was, everyone thinks you're going to sail the world, all of the cultures, and you're going to meet so many people from different places. It wasn't the people we met in the places we visited. It was the people we met on voyage with us that we really got to know a different culture. So now my children have real life, enduring friendships with French families.
Yes.
They game together, they play chess together, they interact on text together. We want to go over to France now and visit these friends. And they understand things about the French culture that I could never have taught them if we had just visited France for 2 weeks.
100%.
Because they have
even if we
friends
sailed
in
there.
the culture.
That's right.
So that was an unexpected gift.
Huge gift.
We naturally were drawn to these French families. And right before this conversation, I was having a WhatsApp phone call with the wife and mother of one of these families. I'm doing a painting for them, and she was talking about how excited they are to have this painting to remember this year of sailing they did as a family.
And that painting is coming together so beautifully too. I know, and I look back on it and be like, this is probably one of my biggest takeaways. The relationships we made in South Africa, which is special, but that was all connected to people who were working on the docks with us when we were getting our boat. And then these French families that we sailed with. It was funny because when we had to part ways because we were selling our boat, that morning when we were all blowing the conch horns and tears rolling down my face. I'm like, this is a very meaningful moment. It was like the last day of your summer camp when you had to say goodbye to your friends. It was like that kind of meaningfulness. And they followed up with the text messages of kind of like the toast, the cheers, of how we all saw each other and appreciate each other. And they said that we totally shattered all of the French stereotypes of Americans because we were thoughtful, relational, engaging. And we even had a lot of overlap even on politics, which is interesting because they're reading and getting everything in French news, and I'm reading everything in English and American news, and how much we all valued freedom and goodness and family, and wondering where we can find it in this world that's turning more and more to chaos. And so there was a lot of like that deeper kinship that too, they're Western culture just like we are. So there's a lot of deeper assumptions about what is good about the world. But the fact that we come from France, talk to the average American about France is like, oh, France is lost, Not only are they traditionally rude, but they have gone the way of the communists. So it's so sad for them. And they're overrun with, jihadis and everything, But then you hang out with them and you're like, yeah, the French are concerned themselves about their own country, just like we're concerned ourselves about our country. And that was there's just a lot of neat kinship, personal interaction,
In the text that
relationship. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up, because in the text, as we were saying goodbye, the husband and father wrote to us saying, we've often heard Americans are warm but superficial when it comes to friendship and humanity. But that's fake news. In a remote corner of the Bahamas, we met a family that's the complete opposite of that stereotype. A family from whom we learned a lot about American culture, and with whom we had so much fun building a friendship that we hope will live on and last despite the distance. It's rare to meet people who leave you thinking long after the conversation itself. Just last night, again, and that was the night we stayed up talking, I think, till 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
I feel like finding friends in the remoteness of an ocean experience on a boat has given me more trust that God will find us friends here in New Hampshire, in a brand new little lake town. And upon landing, our prayers were to find those friends. And I feel like the whole family has come behind me to say, yes, we're going to try to take chances and go to social events. Mm-hmm. And I have felt so much more supported by you when I say, okay, our neighbor's out in the yard. Can you go over and just say hello? And we're going to go to this church service. Let's try it out and see how it goes. I feel so much more supported. Like, I'm not pushing everybody to do it. And I know that change in you has been so welcome to me.
Sailing life.
It is.
We all want to be connected. And those of you listening, Jonalyn is the one who spearheads our social life and our calendar. Not everything, but she sees it. She sees it before other people do, just like I see other things before anybody else does in our family.
You see financial, like, suicide before I do. And so financial, like, entanglements. You see that. You're very good at financial professionalism. That's one of your strengths.
No, that's true. Before we get into agreements, we really, you know how it is. Anyway, whatever the case, Jonalyn spearheads the social scene for us. She's usually meeting people. Like, we met this lovely homeschool family, like the third day we were here, and they were just sitting on a bench down by the water, eating ice cream, and we're playing. I'm walking along, we're looking at the signs, we're looking in the water, looking for fish, looking at the boats, there's a garden there, and Jonalyn just turns and was like, starts striking this conversation, asking if they're a homeschool family, because she thinks they look like that. And I have no idea if they'd be insulted or not, but I did not volunteer to be part of this conversation. Didn't say, hey, there's people over there, let's go talk to them. Jonalyn volunteered on her own without consulting anyone, and the boys and I are like, Mom's on her own now. We're just going to keep going on the garden path.
Left me.
Totally. Because I'm like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to stand there awkwardly. It just seems so awkward. And I swear, oh, listener, if you were there, you would have felt awkward too. You're like, what's my place in this? I don't even know. But that's a great thing about Jonalyn. Everybody has their thing they like to jump into spontaneously. And Jonalyn likes to jump in spontaneously with conversations with people that she's never met before. And so we all piggyback on that and we all benefit from it. So that's kind of the background on that. So now when she's like, hey, we want to do this, we want to do that, and she'll be quite aggressive with the things to get involved in. I know, and it's great to always hear it, that how much you appreciate when we, even though there's a whole side of us that's reluctant to go so quickly into these things, we come right along because we trust you. And we know that we can back out of these crazy things too, if we need to. I always have to have an escape hatch, or else I feel claustrophobic. But
well, thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Those friends that I met at the park have now come by 4 times, have dropped off 2 loaves of sourdough bread, have introduced us to every single person we've met at this local gathering of Christians, church community. They have come over for drinks and chatting, and the
had a good time. They're our new French friends. Everybody needs French friends. From now on, if you have friends that like conversation and some wine and good bread, they're now officially called French friends. Do you have French fries? I have French fries.
You know what I love is that my Lady Grey starter that I made on the boat, that I brought with me across the ocean to make on the boat, and I gave that to all of our French friends, and they started making sourdough. And now that sourdough starter bread is going back across the ocean
to France
on Loella, back to France.
I love it.
And now I have lost that starter, and I can't find it. But I have new friends here that God provided a new sourdough starter that's 70 years old from Washington State.
I love it.
And it's so good. And I feel like I have more peacefulness to be needy and let God meet my needs.
Oh, it's the goodness of God in the land of the living. It's so beautiful.
I can hear the birds. It's wonderful to be on land again. And it's wonderful to have had a year on Lady Grey in our memories and all the ways our souls have been changed because of Lady Grey, and to come back to land with that. It's a wonderful heritage, the legacy of Lady Grey.
That's right. Well, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, give a positive review, and to engage us as artists, go to jonalynfincher.com to see Jonalyn's work. And to hear the stories of the Bible, you can engage with my stories at dalefincher.com and begin your journey there. We'll see you next time on the back porch.